Alright, we back with a new video. I seen Double XL had dropped something talking about the class that changed everything. And I'm gonna be honest, when I seen this video pop up, I knew it was over for Double XL. I'm not gonna be convinced if this is the last season for the Cyphers. Um, as you can see, I didn't listen to a single freestyle. Like, I was completely tapped out. I deadass only listened to these two ciphers, which is, are these really the only ciphers that happened? They had a bonus cipher. I didn't even see that. That's crazy. But I wanna see what this video is about that they're talking about here. I probably won't watch the whole thing, but let's see what's going on. The class that changed everything. Hopefully they don't fuck me for this video. There we go.
Currently, I'm putting my kid on to the greatest cipher of all time.
Now we can all agree that how iconic that fucking cipher is. But I mean, come on, man. Y'all just dropped one.
You can't go there. 2016 freestyle! Rolling on my wrist. Rolling on my wrist. 30 on my wrist. What? 30 to your face. What? 60 to your face. What? 90 to your face. What? That's a closed case. Yeah!
Nah, that video is actually so fire. What the fuck? Damn, that's crazy. So iconic, man.
Freshman is a franchise that Double XL puts together every year. We've done for the past 19 years.
19
we
years.
try to predict the next 10 to 12 new artists coming out that are gonna blow up, maybe being on the cover as a solo artist one day.
Freshman class, in my judgment, has a legacy of being the singular most important look an emerging artist can receive in hip-hop.
It's not a popularity contest, and it's not just about who's the best rapper, it's who's got the best chance to be a rap star.
It's the most coveted, important place we look to discover our new acts.
The freshman class, all the way dating back to when it first started, it's birthed a lot of great artists.
I wanted to be a freshman because
And back to when it first started, it's birthed a lot of great artists.
Crazy fucking list. I went back to watch this shit. They even dropped, I'm pretty sure it was either this class or it was this class where they dropped a little like mixtape to go along with it. It was either this class or the one before it. Fucking fire, bro.
I wanted to be a freshman because I remember who y'all had on the list before.
I remember being a child and seeing the covers always, it was so like monumental.
Y'all had Currency on the list before. Y'all had Cudi on the list before. Y'all had J. Cole. Y'all had Nipsey Hussle. Y'all had J. Rock.
Double XL is a global platform all over the world.
Y'all had Lil B. You had Mac Miller. You had Kendrick.
Just spin the globe and pick a country, and I guarantee you they're familiar with the Double XL freshman cover.
We wanted to be a part of that legacy and what that might bring.
Not only just being a freshman, but just being a part of that Double XL legacy and the history behind it. A part of something that's a real staple in just hip hop and the culture.
When you land on a XXL freshman cover, it can basically jumpstart your whole process.
Every year we sit with 50, 75 different artists in
It could, but most of the people getting on Double XL right now already got a platform, and they're reaching out to the people that's going to decline them.
person on Zoom where we sit down and get to know them. We hear music that they have going on, the label they're signed to, what their attitude's like, what their reputation's like, what their legal situation's like, what's going to catapult them or what's going to stop them. We never pick immediately. We spend months arguing as a staff over who's going to be the freshman.
Double XL is looked at as like the gauge of who's going to be the next thing. If Double XL says that this is the guy, then this is going to be the guy.
That freshman cover, it really meant something. You know what I'm saying? It was like a real stamp for an artist. Like, if you got that freshman stamp, then you were solidified putting that work in this game.
It gives you the opportunity to be seen and heard by fans of the Double XL brand, fans of your peers who are on the cover with you. It does a lot for the ecosystem of hip hop as a whole.
And so the freshman list every year is a guaranteed conversation starter.
And it helps the rest of us in media, like, discover new things that we didn't necessarily think of before.
And not only is it a guaranteed conversation starter, there's no way to garner agreement. It's a feature, not a bug.
In the past, when I've spoken to other artists, I'm like, oh my God, I saw you in the freshman cover. They look at me and they've said, like, that was fire. So it gives them a chance to, like, represent not only themselves, but their hometown, who they are.
I think there's not a lot of recognition in hip hop in general.
I definitely see what they're saying. Like, it definitely is like a cultural, like, can't think of the right word, but definitely not nowadays. It's definitely not even because of who they pick on the list, but who they pick and how they perform. People aren't doing the freestyles, people aren't doing the ciphers. They're even coming out after and saying they didn't even care about it. Like, the shit just turned into, like, this an opportunity to, I don't know, have a moment, have a little viral moment. It's not even about, like, who's going to be the next biggest rap star in hip-hop. Because we're not even having that conversation anymore when XXL comes out. Not for the past, like, 4 years have we had that conversation.
This is almost like the gold standard of early recognition for artists, or the springboard for them to actually gain fanfare outside of their traditional fan base.
XXL does.
They got Rico Nasty 3 years out of her prime. Like, what are we talking about?
Beautiful job of introducing artists to people that don't necessarily have them on the radar.
Every year, even me, I'm like watching and being like, oh wow, this, and then sometimes I'll be like, I don't know who that person is. And then I'll look up their music, and then I'll be like, and I probably wouldn't have looked up their music otherwise.
Nobody's ever paid to be a freshman. We've never gotten anything in exchange for putting somebody on the cover. It is completely coming from a journalistic place. It's untainted.
It's an artist's way of showing, like, I made it. I have arrived. Something that we all look forward to every year.
Downside of the internet is the removal of...
It is crazy for her to come out and say that, because I never even thought, like, anybody would be paying to get on the list. Even if XXL was still up, I still wasn't expecting anybody to pay to get on the list. Thought that was the whole point.
Taste making, people not respecting people who have good taste. The XXL freshman has maintained a cachet of when you see it, you go, I need to stop and see what this is about.
We're doing it because we truly love hip hop and want to make a platform that highlights new artists in a way that no one else does.
So the 2016 XXL freshman class, Lil Uzi Vert, Kodak Black, Designer, 21 Savage, Denzel Curry, Lil Yachty, G Herbo.
Just hear the names in this fucking lineup, bro. Like, there deadass hasn't been a list that's touched this shit.
Anderson .Paak, Dave East, don't forget Lil Dicky.
That was really on the cusp of when the internet and SoundCloud were taking over. You saw a lot of artists standing out, being themselves, different style, very proud to be who they are, when there was a little bit more of a uniform to hip hop. When you hit 2016, you were really seeing a shift.
In order to understand why the 2016 freshman class is so special, you actually have to go back earlier. You go back to the blog era. The freshman class always struck me as an effort to kind of rationalize the mess that was happening online.
Yeah, at that time, it was a strong division between the youth and older purists. And XXL is a very respected hip-hop editorial for years and years and years. A purist hip-hop heads, a boom bap.
The 2016 class is kind of the end of the era that had just preceded it. All of the artists kind of in the years leading up to that had really been propagated in large part by the blog era.
Hip-hop was becoming more and more decentralized. There were more substrains of it. And the freshman class was a way of saying, let's put some rigor to it. Let's put some order to it. And let's also play some bets.
At some point, I don't know where in 2016, but I started to realize, like, oh, this is a shift in paradigm.
There was a lot of conversation going on around this time about mumble rap or the SoundCloud rapper. There was a divide coming within the culture, like within hip hop. I feel like I hadn't seen since Backpackers versus the Shiny Suits.
Right at this pivot point of like where like social media was still a super part of culture and it like, but it wasn't what it is today. So it was just at this perfect inflection point. The good old times versus the new day.
2016 comes along. The internet is still a viable promotion mechanism, but people we used to think of as blog rappers are gone. on. It's replaced with innovative style, street credibility, real personal flair.
Because it was diverse, sort of represented a cross-section of lyricism and true street stories. People were tuned into that at a peak in 2016.
Hip hop has always really valued authenticity, and every guy in that class is so unique. You can't bump anybody off of being themselves in that class. Like, every single one of us is like a complete snowflake unicorn of an artist who could probably never be influenced to do anything other than exactly like what they believe in their core.
Up until that point, what record?
Damn, that's a great way of looking at that class. It was a very diverse class. They had all types of different sounds on there. Even though it was still coming out of the same wave, it was not all the same sound.
Song, do we not like the song? Do we think it's a hit? Do we not think it's a hit? Before that point in time, you had to walk into a building and ask someone for permission.
When you think of a rapper from Philly, you don't think of Lil Uzi. When you think of Florida, you might not necessarily think about Kodak Black. Initially, you might think about Legacy, Trick Daddy, Rick Ross, but now Kodak is ushering a new thing. When you think of Atlanta, you don't necessarily think of Yachty. You look at that cover and it's possibly the most diverse. Rap is always perceived as this one thing. Like, if you don't rap this way, then you're not actually rapping.
That class felt like it was the first class of like individuality, a new generation kind of.
That's why I love when I hear the most out-of-the-box music with the craziest mix on it, just because it's not the generic shit I'm used to hearing. Especially with a lot of the new wave that's out now. Yeah, it's very unique. There's a lot of different unique artists, but you get those unique artists and they trickle out an effect of a whole bunch of people that want to sound just like that. So it turns into everybody trying to fight for this one sound.
And ushered in.
Climate was just different in 2016, coming out of an era which was pretty much mixtapes. The way you actually got on back then, and nobody knew exactly what the streaming era was going to be.
A lot of the folks in this list are pure internet stars, which isn't to say they're not tethered to a local city or community. They were never really famous off the internet. Folks like Cole or Kendrick very much were in the mold of traditional 90s or 2000s rappers.
Remember, we were coming off the era where the last traditional superstar came from, where they looked like a traditional rapper. This group of guys all looked different. Uzi with pink hair, Yachty had red braids.
I had my red hair, my braids, and my beats, and people thought I was crazy. They thought I was gay, weird. I'm just like, who is this nigga?
Breaking the norm, going against the grain, Yachty painting his nails, or Uzi, his different piercings. We hadn't seen rappers be as...
I wouldn't say visually attractive to the traditional hip-hop eye.
But I think it...
Bro just said they look good. Bro just said in a non-sus way that they look good. He was really trying to avoid, like, saying some crazy shit.
You, as a young person, consuming all of your hip-hop content on the internet, you look at someone like Uzi or someone like Yachty, and immediately you're like, you're a creature of the internet.
The copy on the title was a new wave. There was like a pivot happening between like what typically people would be like labeling someone as a great rapper, which is like super lyrical, being the quote-unquote rapper's rapper, and I think the pendulum starts swinging to like this new era of hip-hop.
Oh, they actually gonna show us the whole shoot.
I remember pulling up in the all white, and it was early too, and it was super secretive.
I didn't know what to expect. All we knew was we was gonna get outfits. We needed a couple freestyles ready. That we was gonna be taking photos and all this stuff all day.
I remember the vibe the day of the shoot being pretty upbeat. A lot of industry people behind the scenes, management teams, label reps. Everybody's kind of like separated. Every artist has their own space, their own room, getting ready, they're preparing. I'm backstage chopping it up.
Everybody was pretty much keeping to themselves. A few people knew each other. I think people were a little nervous. Everybody wanted to do their best.
I remember walking into that room and I was like, why is Weird Al Yankovic here?
I think everyone initially perhaps landed wherever physically they were brought, and everyone was kind of separate initially, but then I just feel like as the day went on, there was a real camaraderie.
I get there that day, I see who I'm gonna be on the cover with. It was dope to me. A lot of those artists I was fans of.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna count it off. 1, 2, 3. Make sure your eyes are open. Here, and good energy on 3.
Nobody on the shoot didn't have the confidence to know that they belong there.
I always felt like I belong. I'm supposed to be here. On some ego shit, I was like, oh, I'll be on the freshman cover. I know I am.
I was a little bit intimidated. I didn't really know how I fit in. Looking around, I didn't know anyone. Everyone I felt had more emotion than me.
I found out Lil Dicky, me and him went to the same college. I didn't know that.
I remember just being in my little corner and just kind of keeping to myself. And then I remember Lil Dicky coming up and being like, man, I'm a huge fan of yours. That made me feel really good.
That day, I nailed everything from the interviews, the one freestyle alone. When you guys came to my room, it's like, it's time for the XXL Cypher. Dave East and G Herbo was there. So I'm like, okay, I think I got my stuff ready.
That was the first year artists got the beats in advance. Denzel got the wrong beat.
It was not the same beat.
Unfortunately, there was some confusion with the beat, and Denzel ended up in the cypher with the other 4 guys, with Savage, Yachty, Uzi, and Kodak. And I didn't know at that moment, like, how was that going to work out? Because I don't think Denzel really initially fit into that group. But it was kind of like, this is the BB guy. It landed this way, so we're going to...
Damn, that's crazy. I felt like he fit perfectly into that shit. I'm sorry. It probably looked like I just zoned the fuck out, but that's crazy.
see how it goes.
The category.
He got like the best start to that shit. Like he fit right in with that class.
For the most part, seemed to have fit Uzi, Yachty, Kodak, and Savage. People would kind of classify them together. Denzel kind of stood out how people may perceive a lyrical rapper.
I just always thought it was like, shit, if you're a rapper and you get thrown a beat, any beat, go.
By the time you guys was like, okay, we're ready to start shooting for the cypher, and y'all was like, who's gonna go first? Everybody looked at me, everybody started looking at each other, and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go first.
Oh my God.
Yo, that's crazy. He's sitting there looking like, damn, man, we'll never touch this. Nah, let me not do that. That's crazy, man. But damn, it probably is like a crazy moment for them. Like we really made history with that.
Rest in power, it's all about power. Squeeze two lemons together and really all you'll have is sour.
Forget the rapping for a second. We'll get to the rapping. The first thing is, how do these guys look?
Kodak came in with Bantu knots. Lil Yachty had red hair. Uzi had purple locks and a purse.
21, just an incredible visage, face tattoo right in the center.
Everyone had their own unique style and presence, and that's what hip-hop is built off.
If you look at the 2015 cypher, that wasn't happening. So something had molted, like something had been sloughed off, and then there was this fresh visual approach to how should a rapper look.
Bitch, you know that. Yeah.
They did everything on their own way. And I think that's why the kids celebrated them. They look at them kind of like rebels. It wasn't necessarily like the MCs that everybody's always so thirsty for. The most lyrical, no. They were all around creatives.
Man, the kid I was, red hair, wearing my boss's chain, because I didn't have a chain yet. It blew so big because you had never seen it before.
The second thing that's happening is these guys are so happy to be hanging out with each other. They're doubled over. They're smiling. They're watching other people get bars off and being like, oh my God.
It just felt like the guys were just really living in real time and being present. Unlike me, when they were doing that cypher, I was probably like in the hallway, like practicing. And trying to make sure I was like as good as I possibly could be. Like those guys were just like kind of flying by the seat of their pants and letting their essence speak for themselves. Boy, did that work.
The guys were ad-libbing each other. It was fun in it, almost like they was just horsing around, which was dope because in a cypher, like a lot of times it's one of their biggest opportunities. People take it very, very seriously.
The magic of the video is, damn, these guys like each other. And they're really happy to be representatives of this generation.
30 on my waist, 30 to your face, 60 to your face, 90 to your face. That's a closed case.
One of the main things that stood out from that
That shit is so fire, man. But alright, I think I got the gist of it, man. XXL will never be able to recreate this magic right here just because of how everything happened, like how natural everything was. It seems like they're trying to force everything now. But they even said it there, like they all did that shit on their own. You know, they all figured that shit out. Yeah. Damn, that's crazy. Damn, XXL. What happened?